For today's video, I do want to speak about Xavi's future. Then later in the video, we're also going to be talking about the 4 options to reinforce the central defensive midfield position. And then we're lastly going to talk about the right wing position, because there has been talks about Barcelona maybe going for Bernardo Silva for a total of 50 million euros. Everything is going to be organized in the timeline down below. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are Barcelona fans, this is going to be the channel for you, where we do talk about everything regarding FC Barcelona. And so let's talk about Xavi's future. And it says here, according to multiple sources, that Joan Laporta is willing to wait to decide on the next coach to see if Xavi reconsiders his decision. He wants to keep Xavi until 2025 without ignoring the optional 1 year. The president hopes to give him the signings he does want in this summer, plus bringing in the long-term goal of bringing in Erling Haaland in 2025 to replace Lewandowski. Now, when we do speak about signing Erling Haaland, it does seem almost impossible, and I understand that because of everything that Barcelona have gone through in the past 4 years. We have even heard that if Erling Haaland were to get signed, it will not happen until the summer of 2026. But whether it's in 2025 or in 2026, the most important thing that we have to know is that every year, starting from the summer of 2024 until the end of his contract, his price tag is going to decrease. The agent of Erling Haaland also placed a clause in his contract where it does say that by the time we do reach the summer of 2024, his release clause is going to go all the way down to 150 million euros, and that's only going to apply for the clubs outside of the Premier League. In order for other clubs out there, like maybe in the Italian league or in the Spanish league, want to sign Erling Haaland for a good price. If teams like Liverpool or Arsenal do want to sign Erling Haaland, the clause will not apply to them, and his price tag could be maybe 250 million euros instead of 150. But in the end, Rafaela Pimienta made it very easy for the clubs outside of the Premier League. And then when you go into the next summer, which will be the summer of 2025, there's a possibility that his price tag will go down to 120 or 110 million euros. So by the time we do get into the summer of 2025, the number one question is going to be this. We don't know if it's going to be whether 100 million euros to like 140 million euros. We don't know where it's going to land, but in the end, the question will be whether Barcelona can afford such a signing. And to be honest, maybe there are things that we just don't know at the moment, because there is no way the agent of Erling Haaland went to Barcelona to go meet with the club knowing that Barcelona cannot sign Erling Haaland whatsoever. There has to be a way for Barcelona to sign Erling Haaland. Otherwise, it would be such a complete waste of time. Like, for example, there is just no way the agent of Erling Haaland is going to go meet with the owners of Elche or Alaves. If Barcelona schedule a meeting with Rafaela, that means that there is a possibility, and the agent does see the exact same thing. And within that meeting, it was also said that Barcelona wanted to know about the details on what it's going to take to sign Erling Haaland. And I believe that Joan Laporta and Deco got those details, and they told Xavi, this is what we're going to do. There is a way for us to sign Erling Haaland, but it will not happen until the summer of 2025. You just need to hang on with us for the next 2 years. And to me, it sounds like the perfect plan, because if we can let go of Lewandowski in the summer of 2025 and bring in Erling Haaland in the same summer, that will be the best transition ever. And I remember, right, when Barcelona had a friendly with Manchester City and Man City came to our stadium, every time Erling Haaland had the ball or when he was warming up, the fans cheered. The fans of Barcelona love Erling Haaland, and Haaland was even clapping to the Barcelona fans. So there was like a lot of enjoyment and love going on between Erling Haaland and the Barcelona fans. So he is adored by the club, and I think that Erling Haaland does know that, and that, my friends, is very important. But here are going to be the 2 things that I hope the club does before they even think about onboarding Erling Haaland. Point number 1, I want them to sign a good, responsible defensive midfielder, and I also do want them to sign a great left winger, because I don't want Barcelona to be signing like big stars like randomly with no real sporting project. Like, it would make no sense for us to be signing the best striker in the world, the best right winger in the world, and then leave the left wing position very weak and leave the left back position very weak. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we have to have a complete sporting project with a complete team, and every position must be 100% covered by world-class players, or else none of this is going to matter. Like, I don't care if you have Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, and Messi up top when your defense is just so weak and concedes 4 goals per game. It really would not matter. And this is what's going to lead me towards the next piece of news coming from Fernando Polo. Fernando Polo also stated that Xavi still doesn't want to stay this summer, but he might change his mind though. He wants guarantees of the ability to sign top players. Xavi prioritizes 2 big signings, which is either Zubimendi or Kimmich for the pivot position and Bernardo Silva. And we'll talk about Bernardo Silva in just a few minutes. But as you can see, there is a clear plan that Joan Laporta is trying to do here, and and the path that they're painting is unfolding. Like, I think that all of us have more clarity. The only problem that we do have right now is to maintain Xavi Hernandez, because it does seem like Xavi Hernandez does not want to change his mind and he wants to leave. Because let me tell you, the only two players that we have to sign in the summer is a CDM and a left winger, and to keep Xavi Hernandez. What would be the whole point of doing all of this work knowing that Xavi Hernandez will be leaving and we're gonna just have to readjust our demands based off what the new coach is going to want? It's going to disrupt almost everything. Fernando Polo continues to say that Laporta wants to keep Xavi for a few reasons. He believes Xavi makes good use of the squad, especially the youngsters, hence the reason why we see Hector Fort, Lamine Yamal, Kubarsi performing at such top level. Point number 2, he believes that Xavi can handle the veterans well. Again, hence the reason why Gundogan and Lewandowski are so important to the team. They give all of the youngsters great experience and great lessons based off the past experiences they have been having. Gundogan and Lewandowski are essential at the moment. Point number 3, how Xavi has improved players like Rafinha and Ferran Torres. Again, very true. Rafinha is becoming much more dynamic, much more confident. Ferran Torres also scores a lot of goals. He's very effective. And then moving on towards point number 4, and that is the good relationships between Deco and Xavi. And the reason why that last point is the most important one is because it's important for the sporting director and for the coach to see eye to eye. Because if you don't, if you see a coach seeing a whole different way on how to take over the club when compared to the sporting director, you're going to be having a club that collapses. Look at what happened to Manchester United or a team like Chelsea over the years. They need to see eye to eye. And right now, Deco and Xavi do see eye to eye in everything. I don't know what it's going to be like if we have Hansi Flick and Deco together. And so we'll see. Now let's move on towards the next phase of this video. And now let's talk about the CDM role. It has been said, according to Matteo Moretto and Fabrizio Romano, that it looks like as if Oriol Romeo is closer to leaving Barcelona this summer than ever before. Marcos Alonso is set to leave Barcelona for sure at the end of the season, which is good news because when you let go of these two players, you're also going to be freeing up some wages on the wage bill. Matteo Moretto also continues to say, it is understood that Barcelona will search for another midfielder in the summer. And this is where the report comes in for Tony Juan Martí. He has stated that these are going to be the 4 midfielders that Barcelona will be eyeing in the summer. Alex Garcia, yes, there is some doubts because he is not a true defensive pivot, but the next CDM is Mats Wiefer, a player that we have talked about multiple times. The other one is Amadou Onana, again, another player that we have talked about many times, but his price tag is 60 million euros. And then we have Thuram. As of now, we do not really know much of him. His name is really new. Like, this is the first time we have heard about Thuram and him being scouted by Barcelona. So we're not going to be too focused on him because I do think that Xavi Hernandez is going to want to add Zubimendi onto the list with Wiefer, Alex Garcia, and Onana for now, because that is one of the options that Xavi Hernandez is trying to go for. That is why Tony Juan Martí continues to say that if Xavi continues, it must be taken into account that his preference is Zubimendi, whose price would be around the same range of Amadou Onana. And so I really wanted to do like some comparisons, and if you guys do not really know Mats Wiefer and you guys are not familiar with his game, I did make a video about him. If you guys want to go look at that video, just put Barca Media and then put Mats Wiefer and the video will show up. But I was trying to compare all of these 4 CDMs to see how they look next to each other. And I did exclude again Thuram and I put in Zubimendi with Wiefer, Amadou Onana, and Alex Garcia. And as you can see here, the one player that does overtake almost everybody, it is Mats Wiefer, surprisingly. I do not know if this has something to do with him playing in a lower league compared to like the other leagues like the Premier League, the Spanish League, but Mats Wiefer really is showing how big he is in the game, and especially in the defensive actions. Look at how much he overtakes Amadou Onana and Alex Garcia and Zubimendi in defensive actions, even with the forward passes and the progressive passes. He really is a monster. Even in the key passes, Alex Garcia barely beats him. And the one player, which is the exact same player that Xavi Hernandez has been asking for, Martin Zubimendi, he is just getting annihilated by all of the other players in this graph. Like, Zubimendi is the yellow one, and look at where the yellow one is at. He doesn't overtake anybody in any aspects of the game. Not in key passes, not in progressive passes, not in duels, not in defensive actions, not in carrying the ball, not even in forward passes. Zubimendi is a master in none of them. Wiefer is a master in defensive actions. Onana is a master in duels won. Alex Garcia is a master in forward passes and carrying the ball. But with Zubimendi, there really isn't a lot, and that's, again, very surprising and also very interesting. Now, let's just say, for example, there is consensus between Xavi Hernandez and the sporting director and they say, okay, Mats Wiefer could be the one. We just have to grow this player. Yes, he's 24 years old. He's not one of the youngest out of this list, but we can grow the player. And maybe he might form a great duo with Frankie de Jong because they're both from the Netherlands. Barcelona will have to fight hard. I don't know if there's going to be a potential bidding war, but I hope there isn't, because 2 months ago, Mats Wiefer was very close on joining Atletico Madrid. Like, there was already an agreement back on January 2024, like literally like 6 to 7 weeks ago. But the reason why it did not happen is because for some reason, like, the small details were not agreed. And Atletico Madrid promised to go back for Mats Wiefer in the summer. And once Barcelona do get into the picture, I don't know how Mats Wiefer is going to be looking at his future. Could he favor Barcelona over Atletico Madrid, or could he just go to Atletico Madrid? One thing is for sure, if Diego Simeone, who is a very defensive coach, wants someone like Wiefer, that is a good sign for Barcelona, because Barcelona need a very defensive CDM to be paired with Frankie de Jong. He's 27 million euros, so he is one of the cheapest options, if not the cheapest option out of all of these 4 players, and I think that Barcelona should really go for it. Again, we don't know if Barcelona are going to go hell-bent on Zubimendi. Like, Zubimendi can have a world-class Euro in the Spanish national team in the summer, and then like his price tag just skyrockets and he ends up being world-class. We don't know, but at the moment, it seems like Mats Wiefer is the strongest option. So now let's move on towards the last conversation. And now let's speak about Bernardo Silva, because it says here, according to Fernando Polo, that Bernardo Silva has a special release clause in his contract about Barcelona for 50 million euros. Now, this, my friends, is huge news, because look, this is going to sound a little contradicting, but let me explain myself. Fabrizio Romano earlier today also stated that Barcelona does like the player Estevao Williams, but nothing concrete is forming as of now. It's a deal that'll be very expensive. Additionally, PSG and Chelsea are also very interested. Now, in the past 4 to 5 months, I have been preaching about Barcelona signing Estevao Williams because of how good he is. He is going to be like one of the next big stars alongside with Endrick and with Vitor Roque. I have also stated that the future of Barcelona's front line is very much Brazilian, with Estevao Williams, with Vitor Roque, maybe Rafinha going into the picture. But what if there is a bidding war? What if Chelsea and PSG come in with their heavy bags and they say we'll pay 90 million euros? That is exactly what Barcelona do not want. Like, the moment we get alerted that there is a bidding war going on and the agent is saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow for Barcelona to be the only option, we need the biggest bidders, then that is where I do believe Barcelona have to pivot and go for Bernardo Silva as a plan B, because I still think that Estevao Williams is ours. He has said multiple times that his dream is to play for Barcelona, but we just don't know what's going to happen by the time the summer rolls around. Like, all of this can get messed up with PSG and Chelsea coming into the picture, and signing Bernardo Silva for 50 million euros is cheaper than signing Messinho. Messinho, at just 17 or 16 years old, he's not even 18 yet, is going to be costing at the very minimum 70 million euros. And that is why I do say, if there's a bidding war, Barcelona will have to back off, and the plan B has to be Bernardo Silva. Now, we can say that his age is going to be a factor, right? Because many have been saying Bernardo Silva is 29 years old. He's going to be turning 30 years old in August, basically by the time Barcelona restart their new season. But look, his performances say otherwise. Gundogan and Lewandowski are like in their mid-30s or like early 30s, and they're not slowing down at all. Lewandowski is still very much a reliant striker. Gundogan, who I believe is like 32 years old or 33 years old, is one of Barcelona's most impactful, if not the most impactful midfielder for Barcelona. Bernardo Silva coming in at the age of 30 is perfect because he will carry on the experience to the players, the leadership that he carries. Also, he can teach Lamine Yamal on how to be a better, more effective right winger. I think that if you can give Bernardo Silva a 2-year contract with 1 optional year that can take him until 2027, that would be perfect, because that will solidify Xavi's era at Barcelona until 2026. Because just like it has been reported earlier in this video, Joan Laporta wants to keep Xavi until at least 2026, and then after that we'll have conversations on whether he's going to be having continuity or not. But at the very least 2026, Bernardo Silva can stay here with Barcelona until 2026 and be known as part of Xavi's project. If you give Bernardo Silva the 2 years, that would also allow for Rafinha to move to the left wing position, and to me that is okay, because Rafinha on the left wing position is becoming stronger, more composed, he better understands it, and he's very effective. I do think that if next season we have Rafinha and Felix as our left wing options, and we have Bernardo Silva and Lamine Yamal as our right wing options, that's a very healthy and strong Barcelona, to be honest. Like, those are going to be very strong options. Yes, did we just say that we need to reinforce the left wing position earlier in this video? Yes, of course, but we're talking about plan B here, because if Rafinha moves to the left full time with Felix, the left wing position can be covered, and then you have Ferran Torres floating in and around the right wing position or on the left wing position. Also keep in mind that if we have Felix, Cancelo and Bernardo Bernardo Silva, that is 3 Portuguese players. I do not know if this is a coincidence or not, but you know, maybe the reason why we're going to be having 3 Portuguese players is because of Deco. You know, Deco's in charge. He's Portuguese, also Brazilian, but has Portuguese citizenship. So I'm pretty sure that maybe the reason why we have so many Portuguese players is because of Deco and his connections. But in the end, I want to see Barcelona go for Estevão Williams first. And hopefully Estevão Williams can do us a favor and say, I want to block all other offers. I only want Barcelona. Let's go for him first. And if it does not work, we go for plan B and go for the next strong option. And it gives Xavi's squad much more depth. And in the end, it makes Barcelona great again. And I do think that also in the end, it can convince Xavi Hernandez that he can be very successful in the next season and go for all titles. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.